Number 9, Alabama, and number 8, Oklahoma in Norman. This is a rematch of the first of two rematches of the college football playoff. These teams played about a month ago or so, back in November in Tuscaloosa. Oklahoma came out with a W 23-21. We'll get a little more into that later in the analysis, but Alabama is a 1.5 point road favorite in this one, which I was a little surprised to see, but it's not too shocking, I should say. The over-under is 41.5, so expect a lower scoring game most likely in this one. One of the biggest keys to me in this one is, what is Alabama's mindset after this last month or so? They're coming off an absolutely terrible performance, no other way to put it, against Georgia, at least offensively. Their offense looked just absolutely incompetent. Only scored 7 points in that game when the game was basically already decided in the fourth quarter. -3 rushing yards all game. You sitting on your couch watching that game had more rushing yards than Alabama did in that game. And so, what is Alabama's mindset in this one? Are they going to reset? Are they going to use that as kind of a wake up call, to kind of get back to the basics? They're going to use it as motivation to play better in the future. Or are they going to be down on themselves? Are they going to be thinking maybe we weren't as good as we thought we were, like mid-season? They lost to Florida State. They bounced back well from that. They responded well from that. Let's see if they can do it again after this Georgia game in the SEC championship. But before that, I know I said earlier, like the past month, they've been struggling. They haven't really picked up. They haven't really played super well in the last month or so. They did lose that game to Oklahoma. They had a couple of close wins that maybe shouldn't have been as close. And so it's going to be really interesting to see what Alabama kind of does here, if they are a different team than they were the last month in this game in Norman. On the other side, you have Oklahoma, who rattled off a huge 4-game winning streak to even get to this point. I don't feel like enough people are talking about what Oklahoma did up to this point and even making the playoff. I mean, they were 6-2 with road trips to Tennessee and Alabama coming up. I mean, basically no one thought that they would win both those games, nonetheless one of them. And so it's really impressive what Oklahoma was able to do. They went into Knoxville night game, went there and beat Tennessee, then go on the road the next week to Tuscaloosa, beat Alabama, and have to come home and play two solid teams in Missouri and LSU to kind of clinch their playoff berth, so to say. Not easy game, excuse me. The offense struggled a little in those games too, which we'll get to a little bit as well. But yeah, really impressive stuff from Oklahoma that I think went really underrated. Not a lot of people were talking about. But yeah, like I said, Oklahoma, they're gonna have to lean on their defense in this one. According to the stat model, they have the number 51 offense with the number 5 defense, and so outside the top 50 in offensive efficiency, but inside the top 5 in defensive efficiency. And so Oklahoma's really going to have to lean on their defense. Their offense has especially been struggling down the stretch, at least in their last two games against Missouri and LSU. So they're really going to have to lean on that to be able to. Sorry, I keep kicking my table here, but they're really going to have to be able to lean on that defense to make some plays for them to win this game and make a run in the playoff. Some interesting stats to note. Bama's going to have a really tough time running on this Oklahoma team. I mean, like I mentioned, they had -3 rushing yards against Georgia in the SEC title game. That's bad enough. Oklahoma has the top rated rushing defense in the country, according to the snap model. And so it's going to be maybe even harder for Bama to run the ball in Oklahoma, especially on the road. Hostile environment. That front seven for Oklahoma is going to be fired up to play in front of their home crowd in the playoff. Can Bama get anything in the run game? That's going to be a huge factor. If they can't get anything, if they run the ball like they did against Georgia, they have no chance in this game. And so they're going to have to try and find at least a little bit of a running game to have a chance in this one. It doesn't have to be anything crazy. It doesn't have to be, popping off for 5, 6, 7 yards per carry. It can just be, like a decent rush here and there, like maybe even just like 3 yards per carry. Bama's pass offense against Oklahoma's pass defense, that's about a pretty even matchup in my opinion. But if Bama can't run the ball, this is going to be in Ty Simpson's hands. I think Ty Simpson is the X factor in this one. I don't think they're going to be able to run the ball very well, if at all, like I was just talking about. And so can Ty Simpson kind of put the offense on his back? Can he make some big throws? He's going to have to make some big throws into tight windows if Bama has a chance in this one. He's going to have to get relied on by the offense to make a couple big plays. Whether that's downfield shots or just like converting a third down, big third down every once in a while or in the fourth quarter or something. Ty Simpson is really going to have to step up and take that role into doing that, which we've seen him do a couple times this year, but we've also seen him fail to do so. In that Oklahoma game in the first meeting was one of the times he failed to do so. He couldn't really get it done when it mattered most. And so we'll see if he can do it in this one on the road as he tries to get a shot redemption against Oklahoma. But yeah, Bama's wide receivers are going to have to show up in this one too. Especially, I forgot to mention with the rushing part as well. They'll be without Jam Miller, most likely, is what I've seen. And so, it's especially if you don't have Jam Miller, it's going to be really hard to get anything going in the rushing game. And so, Bama's receivers are going to have to step up as well. Jeremy Bernard's had a great year, but he was kind of quiet in the Georgia game. Ryan Williams has had a really underwhelming year compared to what people thought he would be in the preseason. And so he's going to have to step up. He's going to have to make some big plays, help out their quarterback, help out their run game in that one. But so flipping the field back to Oklahoma's offense, they're going to have to start to get something going too. I mean, like I said, they really struggled against Missouri and LSU. They only put up 17 points in each game. If it weren't for completely busted coverage in the LSU game, they only had 10 points before that, and they might have lost that game. And so they kind of got bailed out. Their offense got bailed out in that one. They're really going to have to try and help their defense out a little, at least. Their 77th rated passing offense, or 77th rated rushing offense, excuse me, 67th rated passing offense. And so, how is Oklahoma going to be able to move the ball on this Alabama defense? Are they going to be able to run the ball? Alabama is a little weaker in rush defense than they are pass defense. And so, I think there's a little bit of chance they'll be able to run the ball more efficiently than pass it, especially with John Mateer's legs as he continues to get healthier and healthier. And so, can Oklahoma kind of move the ball that way, have methodical drives down the field, 10, 11, 12 plays, 12 play drives down the field? And can they convert big third downs? They're not a team that usually gets huge chunk plays. Obviously every team does occasionally, but that's not really their bread and butter. And so can they get like 4 yards on first down, 4 yards on second down to set up third and shorts instead of those third and long situations that they have a tougher time in without really a huge downfield passing game? And so I think the biggest key in this game is, can one of these teams get a big defensive play or a special teams play? That was the difference. That's how Oklahoma went into Tuscaloosa and beat Alabama, is they won the turnover battle 3-0. They had a huge pick six in the first quarter that kind of, I wouldn't say flipped the game on its head, but kind of flipped the game on its head. Give them an early 10-0 lead. Oklahoma had a big punt return in that game early. They should have had a fourth turnover. It wasn't for a pass interference. And so that's how Oklahoma went into Tuscaloosa and won. Alabama made the big mistake in that one. Who's going to make the big mistake in this one? I think that's going to be the key to this game. Looking at what the snap model has, the snap model actually has Oklahoma minus 3.5. I do think, at least the way they're playing these last month, I do think Oklahoma's playing a little better. At least defensively, they are absolutely elite. There aren't many defenses in the country that are better. Like I said, they're top 5 in defensive efficiency according to the snap model. But it is hard to beat a team twice. Like Mama always said, that's what they always say. It's hard to beat a good team twice. Can Oklahoma do that? Can they overcome what they say and beat a good Alabama team twice? I don't think so. I think Alabama goes into Norman, gets revenge. They beat Oklahoma by a score of 21-20. Ty Simpson makes some big throws. He learns from the last month or so not playing as well. He learns from the first matchup against Oklahoma. He learns from this past Georgia game a couple weeks ago. He is going to get it done. It's going to be because of him that they go into Oklahoma, Norman, Oklahoma, and upset the Oklahoma Sooners. I guess upset. Bama is technically the favorite, but I think most people would pick Oklahoma in this one. But I have Bama 21-20 in that one.